Welcome y'all to the Blackhoof Saloon, a Wild West Exodus podcast. Mosey on up to the bar and get yourself a bottle of firewater or a glass of sarsaparilla and listen to some good old yarns about adventures of law dogs, outlaws, and weird creatures. So set a spell, water your ride or your rider, and get ready to tune up your posses. This is the Blackhoof Saloon.
Howdy, 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 all you Bushrangers. This is Eric here, and welcome back to the Blackhoof Saloon. And I have with me, who do I have with me?
Oh, this is Bushranger Tom, ready for duty.
And this is Brian Powell from Houston.
And Bushrangers, courtesy of our listener, Daniel. That's for all you guys down in Australia, so... We had no clue about that one, and when he in a little message he sent us this past week, I was like, "That's a good one," and leave it to Tom to twist it a little bit and come up with something else.
Come on, that is obviously something else.
Well, like you said a couple minutes ago, we have a mentality of a 13-year-old. It's gonna happen. So, we're back again for another episode, and so projects we're working on. Brian's working on stuff today instead of Tom, and it looks like you're working on some buildings, Brian.
Working on the house where Bush Rangers hang out quite a bit.
So bad.
Oh my God, you're going to have to put a sign on there. It says Bushrangers welcome.
So my projects, I've been slowly working on painting. I am working on stuff for Adepticon coming up in about a week and a half. Nakano's been the attention getter right now lately. I had to get some more paint for her today, so I'm actually almost painting every day. And then
you look good.
Doing some building. They're getting there.
Are you almost painting every day, or are you painting almost every day?
I am almost painting every day, right?
Okay. No. That means you came real close to painting every day.
Okay, I'm painting almost every day?
Yes, there you go.
Okay. Look at him. He's whipping out that little badge again, Brian, today.
Yeah, here he goes again.
So, Tom, what have you been working on?
I stopped working on things, so sad news. I'm not going to be able to go Adepticon. Had some unexpected expenses come up that sapped the Adepticon budget. So I'll be sad panda staying home like Brian. And
man, I'm gonna be solo.
So I said, F it, I'm not painting things anymore.
Did you flip the table? You didn't flip the table, did you?
I didn't. I just put my head down and cried, sobbed myself to sleep on my huge pillow.
So yes, Adepticon's coming up at the end of March. For all you guys that are heading out to it, hopefully I'll get to meet some of you guys. Where we're planning on, I know a lot of the guys were online talking about open play and trying to get in some games before the tournament on Saturday. If you guys are coming, I know there's still spots open. Tom dropping now that there's another spot. So if you guys were on the fence, jump in and play. I know some of you guys were worried about the level of play and getting stuff painted for it. And I know I commented on the group that, just get 3 colors on it. We always joke about it, but really just get 3 colors on it and you're good to go. And don't worry about the competitive, I guess, side of it, because it really isn't that competitive. We are all just there to have some fun, so don't feel shy about jumping in. But that is in about a week and a half from us recording, so that's coming up soon. I know there's a lot of people still painting. I'm one of them. What else we got? We got, probably could remind everybody about our story contest reminder coming up. This will probably be the last time I'm able to remind you guys. So if you guys are planning on writing stuff or are currently writing it, just a reminder, get those in by April 10th for our anniversary episode next month. And we're giving away a War Cradle Saloon to one lucky winner. You guys get those stories in, we'll go through them, and the three of us will vote and see which one we like the best. So make sure you guys get those in soon. Just send them to our email. So, Brian, I saw you had an event this weekend, too. It looked like you basically cleaned off your desk and brought it with you.
Actually, I didn't. And that's what it was kind of funny because everyone was like, man, that's a great collection. I was like, that's only like 3 hands for 5 different factions, because I couldn't bring it all, but I wanted to be able to, if someone showed up and said, hey, I want to demo the Union, I had a couple of hands and a couple of faces with each of the bosses. That way, if they wanted to, I had something that they could theoretically put together real quick and do a small demo with.
And you had all the stat cards with you and everything too, like that?
I did.
Okay.
And I just set it up on the opposite side of where I was doing demos, so people could come up and look and go, oh, these are lawmen, this is outlaws, this Union. I had the Order, had Warrior Nation, although they weren't finished painting. And then I went ahead and just grabbed up the Dark Wekasansi's Dark Nation posse that I built and based. I just haven't painted yet.
Well, I thought that was a good idea. I thought it was a good idea, Brian, that you had some of the ones that were unpainted there, just so it gave people a better idea of what they look like, just built, before paint, so they could see.
So when I do open days, I usually bring my box of unmades as well, so they can see them on sprue. So I had my box of, I've got, I want to say 6 sprues of hands that I haven't put together yet. And then I have most of my watchers haven't been built, so they're still on sprue. So I have those as examples so they can actually see them on sprue and on the plastic. They'll be able to get a good idea of what it looks like. And then I have some unpainted so they can see what they look like built. So yeah, I think that way they get a good idea of what to expect, especially people who are shy on the build side.
Okay.
Like they're still new to the hobbying.
Yeah.
They can see different steps.
Which the way they make these anymore, they're so easy to build. I mean, there's still some of the old throw-offs that just kind of go together a little bit goofy, but I think they're still pretty easy and intuitive to put together.
Yeah, and I do appreciate they get the instructions onto the website pretty quick too. So if you are struggling with, which bebop goes where, they usually have a pretty good, drawing that shows how the model's laid out and which parts are there. Sometimes those instructions even say, do this first, or it'll interfere.
Well, yeah, I know sometimes depending on the model, the bigger models, sometimes it's easy to leave some of them in pieces just for painting purposes, just because they're so intricate, it's hard to get in there sometimes and paint.
Right. Like right now I'm working on Orin and Zane with the Order, and Orin has the 2 capes, and I haven't glued them on yet while I'm painting them up. So I'll finish his back, and then I'll glue those capes because the capes will get in the way.
Well, since we mentioned Adepticon and the tournament open play, a lot of people are kind of racking their brain about list building and stuff, and kind of to go as a follow-up last episode, we're gonna today talk about things that you might want to think about when you build your posse. So why don't we go ahead and go into our first segment. Today, to follow up our last episode where we were talking about the adventure scenarios and kind of go along with, if you go back to our older episode 2, it was, I believe, where we first started talking about posse building. Today we're going to talk about things to think about when you're posse building, like abilities or just special abilities that characters would have that you might want to think about when you're building your posses to basically help you get objectives, technically objective grabbers. And I first started talking about like these kind of ideas with Parker back at PAX, and he thought this was kind of something that everybody should think about, and it's something that I've been wanting to talk to you guys about, and we'll just talk about it more on the show, is we wanted to kind of just list a couple things. We wrote down a big list of things that would be more or less a toolbox for your posse that you built that would help you guys get those objectives and score those points in the game. So, what do you guys think is one of the most important ones for objective grabbers when you're building a posse?
Well, it's okay. So most important is hard to decide because not every faction is going to have access to what some of us would think are most important, but some universal important ones is a good place to jump into, and that is movement. So there are quite a few different ways that movement can aid in your obtaining your objectives. And it is one of the more universal abilities that every faction has access to. So this isn't going to be something that you won't be able to do if you've picked a niche, posse or faction. So one of the first things to consider is quickness. You obviously, if objectives, depending on the scenario, and you have to get to an objective that is not, in your deployment zone or close to it, you're going to want to get some fast, at least one fast unit on the board. A lot of people use vehicles to do this. Some people have access to fast hands. Looking at you, what are the seeker, enlightened seekers? With the wheels. You're the enlightened guy, Eric. Which one are those? The
wheelies?
No, the hands. Not the abominations, because those are the guys with the little spider legs, but their counterparts. Remember what those are called?
Eric, you're letting us down here, man. Dr. Carpathian. Come in, Dr. Carpathian. Got nothing coming through over the telegram.
Okay, I was on mute too. Because I had to cough.
All right, so I'm just going to start over.
Here, I'll look it up. I can just edit. Wild West Exodus. So Widowers. I think Seekers is right, Brian.
Is it the Seekers? The wheelie ones are Seekers?
I believe so. Enlightened. I don't use them that much anymore once I discovered how fun the Widowers are.
And the Widowers are the spider leg.
Yeah, those ones are your shooty guys, and then the wheelie guys are your get up in your face, with their blades. Yeah, it's Seekers. So you were right.
I was right. Okay, wow.
Wow, Brian was right. That never happens. Freaking encyclopedia in there. He is like the Wild West Exodus wiki himself.
They just changed the name.
Yeah, I call them wheelie guys, so I never remember.
So one of the options would be to get a fast hand unit like the Seekers with the Enlightened, and one other kind would be vehicles. The light vehicles, most of them have quickness of 7 or more, which is going to get you into those objectives a little bit faster. When you pick those models, also look for rapid as a ability for them, and moving target. Does two things. The rapid, some of these faster units have rapid, which is a free focus move, which gives you 2 more inches. So that 7 quickness becomes 9, gets you a little bit closer. And also don't forget, for 1 fortune or an action point, you can dash, and a dash adds another up to a D5.
Yeah, you get at least 5 more inches by doing that.
That's like a quick way if it's get into objectives faster. Those are some things to consider, and all based on the concept of movement as a tool. Some of the other movement tools are, your factions who have access to portals. Looking at you, Dark Nation, with your Hexaliths, and the Hex, obviously, with Hexalith. But Warrior Nation with their totems, this is a fast way for them to move up the board as well. And outside of that, y'all think of any other movement?
Well, you
trickery.
You got Trail Finder. A lot of the little dogs have Trail Finder, which the dogs are a nice one because most of the factions, if not all, can add them as like a support unit in your posse. And Trail Finder is nice because it's before the turn actually starts, so it gives you a little jump start towards grabbing those objectives.
Right. So those things are all before. Another one that happens at the beginning is your redeployments. So redeployments are good. Like, say, after you deploy, your opponent is, I guess, left an objective out in the open or uncontested. You can actually redeploy to hopefully put yourself in a better position to capitalize on that objective.
Yeah, another good one that I just thought of, and not a whole lot of units have it, but we're starting to see a couple more, is flight. So a unit that has flight, they can take it as a special move action, and that's like doing a movement that's, most of the flights are like 18 inches, isn't it, Brian?
Yeah, flight 18 inches, and they just added a new, a smaller kind of flight with Sky Leap, and it's just not as long. I think it's 9 inches.
So those are all little abilities that, as you're looking at the units and you're kind of posse building, kind of try to think of speed, and those are just some of the abilities that will get your guys moving across the board fast. So what do we got for a next one that we all think is a very important thing to think about when you're building a list?
Well, we got card manipulation, one of Brian's favorites.
Yes. I think that's really, so it's not as straightforward and simple as speed, but it is very, very important. It's something that you can do that kind of, you can plan ahead to capture those objectives. You're given some kind of a buff to either things that you do overall or actually an activation you got coming up, so you can kind of mitigate the card draw or, give somebody a buff.
Right. So the one of the neatest things is, so Helena Miller with the Infernal Investigation, she has one of the card manipulation abilities. It allows her for 2 action points to look at the top 3 cards in either the action deck or the adventure deck, and then she can put them in whatever order she prefers. This is huge when you are in a close to the end of the round or the turn, and you really want to make sure you do as much as you can to make sure you get initiative. So you look at the top 3 cards and you find one that is really good, and maybe it's a 4 action point, so it's got a really high small number on it attached. So you plan that one out to be your initiative card. And so I've done that several times, and it's really useful in the Badlands scenarios where you do not want to lose the rift movement.
No, you don't want it to wipe out your whole posse.
Yeah, you want to be the one that gets to direct which direction the rift is going. Or the Eerie Shack template, because of those Pierce 4 templates. Yeah, let's hedge our bets and make sure we have a good initiative card coming up.
One of my favorite abilities for card manipulation as of late is I've been using Nakano a lot in my posse, and she has a Shrewd Strategist. Man, I need better light in here. Which I think you said, Brian, Jedrid
Strategist?
Has. Yes,
Jedrick also. Yeah, Jedrick has it.
I can't talk today, Tom.
It actually works in good combination with Helena's as well. So I've actually done several where they both use their ability in the same turn.
That's nasty.
To make sure they get some stuff, pre-planned.
And basically what that is that they can look at the top card of one of the decks and decide if they want to leave it or discard it. In a way, if you look at the top action card deck and it's 1, I don't want that for my next activation. So, you can get rid of it, and then whoever you activate next, granted you still don't know, but it helps. And then Brian's saying, if you combine that with another character that can look at more than one, well, you can really,
Right. So in that instance, say Helena used her card and it's a 1. It, somewhere in that, in 1, 2, and 3. Well, then now you can put that 1 where you want it, to where you can activate Jedrick and have Jedrick use his power, and you just get rid of the 1.
Get rid of it, yeah.
It's there, and that for one of Jedrick, action points, you can just get rid of that card.
So the other cool thing about so for card manipulation is Treasure Hunter, and we briefly talked about this a little bit off the air. And so I've been running a list that has guys, more than one person that has this ability. So I'm basically, you're getting extra adventure cards, so you're really filling your hand up with options. That's totally a toolbox right there. When I have more options in my hand of whether it's a +1 action point, or maybe it's a glory where I have more options of, shoot or, punch somebody to death and score a victory point. So I have more options for that kind of stuff.
Right. So, Nakano goes and she's really good. And so Treasure Hunter, it gives her one more, card that she can turn into action points, because she's elite.
And she's elite,
so,
yes.
Yeah, so it really, for her, it does a few things. It gives you more options tactically, but then it also allows her at least one more card in the hand that she's going to be able to use as an elite for more action points. And when she's in hand-to-hand, those extra action points come in very handy.
So that's another thing you guys can think about. Unintended. So that's another thing you guys can think about, is look for characters that have elite. So those elite characters, can use, regardless of what the card says in your hand, you can use it as an action point. All right, so I think that kind of covers card manipulation. So some of the card manipulation things are, like we mentioned, elite, Fortune Hunter, there's Fate Weaver, Gambler.
Oh, okay. We didn't mention Gambler. So Gambler's another good one to team up with the peek at the top card, because again, you don't want that to fail, because the Gambler allows you to draw another action card, but it has to be larger than the one that you drew.
Yeah.
So it can't be the same number. It has to be a bigger number. So if you're planning on pulling a card, like Doc pulls a bad card, if you've already pre-looked at the top 3 cards, you already know what comes next. You can plan ahead and make sure Doc doesn't get wasted, because if he fails, he loses his activations.
And that's actually something I do with Jesse James a lot. So, like, you flip that number 1 action point card, and he hasn't activated yet, I instantly activate him, because the chances of getting something higher than 1, I mean, that's pretty high. And then what's nice about that, so if you do flip the card and it is higher than what you did, well, suddenly he has unlimited, actions that he can take.
He has no limit.
He has no limit. So you can just go to town with him and his guns and, just blasting away people.
Yeah, so that happened in the demo that I was doing, and Doc Holliday got a nice little run, and he was churning out his action cards to just keep him going. It was pretty good. Luckily, the guy had two action point cards in his guts, so it was very beneficial for Gambler to trigger when it did, because he was able to, I think he ended up doing only 4 actions, but it helped.
Well, it's nice too is if you don't have those, if you have the adventure card that lets you refill your fortune. So many times I'll burn through, Jesse's fortune pretty quick. I'll burn through all his action points, and I don't have that many plus whatever ones in my hand. So then I'm kind of forced to spend that card to refill his fortune, and then burn through that real quick again. So it's a lot to burn through very fast, but sometimes you're kind of forced to if you don't have the hand to support that, limitless actions that he can take. We got a third one here, so what do you guys think are our third one? So we covered speed, we covered card manipulation. Tom, you came up with something that doesn't technically have like an ability name, but it's more of a concept of objective holders and stuff.
Right. So this is numbers. Whether you have a large unit of hands or you have some faces or whatever on an objective, as you stack numbers of guys, you are spreading out targets. You're increasing the amount of health that's sitting on that objective. You're just making it harder to clear guys off of the objective. So from a holding standpoint, numbers itself is a quality.
Yeah, and something to think about when you're doing stuff like that. If you're doing support or hands, look at stuff that may give them tough, allowing them to maybe re-roll so they can hang around longer and be a nuisance, or durables. And one you could have one of the things that, like a lot of the machines, like the dogs and stuff like that, they have durables, so they're going to ignore piercing.
Right. You could also do things like take the hunker down action, things that'll just kind of, they don't need to be offensive powerhouses here. You just want them to annoyingly hang around.
Yeah, because many of those objectives are, you only score points on them if it's uncontested. So if your opponent has guys on there that you just can't get rid of, well, then you can't score points either. So, or whether it's the objective where you got guys in a building. So if you got guys in the building, it's harder to get rid of them the more there are there.
Yep.
And I mean, that kind of goes along with the speed thing. It's a basic concept to think of when you're list building. It's something that I'm not very good when I play my Enlightened of doing the number game. And it's something I try to change because, everybody wants to take the faces because they got all the fancy abilities. But sometimes it's just simple numbers. You just swarm them.
Yeah, sometimes you just need some table presence. And, if you're bringing, 4 or 5 high-value guys, you just can't cover ground. You can't cover all the objectives. So, you start increasing your numbers, you a lot of times increase your options.
And that's kind of what happened. You, Brian, last episode we're talking about when we mentioned the one Badlands scenario where you have guys in the middle and there's everybody on the edges, and you said it was the player that was playing Lincoln's Posse with the agents. He just didn't have the number game, so he couldn't cover all the areas well, and it just eventually he got wore down.
Yeah, by the end of the second turn, the game was over because he just didn't have any other options, and there was no way he would, with the 2 models he had left, to be able to catch up to the number of points that I'd already scored. And again, I brought 2 treasure hunters along in my posse. I didn't bring any hands units, but just what I did bring was enough to where the survivability was there because I had way more fortune than he did. I had 2 extra cards over what he had, and it goes against the needing hands, but I was able to move fast with this group that I took away all his options. And
so you kind of more or less built different things into it to get those objectives.
Right. So the build was Helena Miller brought Jedrick and Furio, and then on the other, I brought Bass Reeves brought Nakano Gozen. So I had 9 fortune between those models, and
8 fortune.
He brought Abe Lincoln and the agents.
Right.
So it was a 1,000-point game. My 1,000 points just had way more playability. You
built in survivability into your group, which is the same idea. I mean, when I'm saying numbers, I'm talking about the difficulty of removing those numbers. Well, you did a very similar thing, but you found another way to make them survivable.
Right. I played in the numbers game and bosses are more survivable. And so with 2 bosses at that point count, the rest of the models were a low number, but because it was 2 bosses and the 2 treasure hunters.
Yeah, you had other abilities there.
I just had other things available, and I had lots of...
Plus your card manipulation and...
Yeah. There's a lot of bells and whistles in that small group. So
that's Tom's dream posse, is all about numbers and speed. So in a way, there you go. There's his objective grabbers.
Yes, it is. Which, by the way, I'm up to 6. Yeah. I'm up to 6. So keep sending in those iron horses. I need 6 more.
I need 6 more. I get a little. We need to do a little counter for you. So every time you get one, just go ding. You can see
ding, 5 more.
Well, that just means Tom's really looking for a new iron horse, kit coming out soon, so he can just buy them all out.
Well, I might have to go and revisit that posse a little bit, because they also got a God, what are they called now? They renamed it. It used to be the Locust.
Iron Eagle.
The Iron Eagle.
Yeah, Iron Eagle. No. So I got one of those now too. So I might have to rejigger the list a little bit.
If you didn't hear my groaning there, I've felt the joy of that before. But yeah, go do that, Tom.
That might lower my requirement for number of bikes, and still keep the same theme going there.
Right.
And God, I need a mounted custer. But I might have to look at what some guys have done, where they put the regular custer hiding behind the bike.
Yeah, using it as cover.
The bike's been shot down a little bit, using the bike as cover. So, but that is my dream posse.
His pose lends itself for hiding behind the bike. I think it services well.
Well, eventually I'll have to post pictures of my little kit bashing project that I did, but I'm still keeping it secret for tournament stuff. So, well, is there any other ideas we want to just quickly mention for when people are list building and things to think about to get those objectives faster or easier in the game? I mean, we kind of covered some pretty basic ones.
So just from basic tactical things, watch your terrain, watch your lines of your movement lines. Don't set yourself up so you have to go running through forests or swamps or rivers or anything to get to your objectives if you can help it. The easier you can make your movement to get there, obviously, the faster you get there, the more likely you are to grab that objective.
Brian, you got anything?
Yeah. I mean, I would recommend everyone just read the scenarios quite a bit, understand what they mean, and that way you know what you're doing when you build your list, saying, hey, these are the 5 scenarios at this tournament. You already know Adepticon is going to be using just the standard scenarios. So pay attention to those standard scenarios so you prepare for those scenarios.
Yeah, just
right? So
go over them, ask, what do I need? What do I need in this posse to help me get, this objective for this scenario? Or how about this scenario? What would make it easier to get this and deal with my opponent's stuff? So, many of these things we went over them one by one, and there's plenty of other ones out there. We talked about combining some of them, speed with numbers, or we had card manipulation with just something that survivability. So you got guys that have tough and durable and stuff like that. So you can combine them to basically, as we said, to give yourself a toolbox to give you more options when you're playing. But it's something that you help think about when you're posse building, to not just say, oh, I'm just going to go for the numbers game, which it's still viable, but you also got to think about these other ones too.
Right, and then have fun playing around with the options. That's how I came up with the whole Bass Reeves, and it was just on a whim that I was just tinkering with my standard posse, because I like to bring Jedrick in 2020 and Furio and
Oh yeah.
the whole, as many of the Infernal Investigations as I can. And it dawned on me that there's a couple of different options that you can go with, and splitting it up and bringing a second boss really was very beneficial. Although a lot of people are like, hey, I want to bring all the Infernal Investigations in a 1500, and that way I can get Prodigious, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Not doing that, bringing Bass Reeves in with a posse of his own, just it just gives you so many other options.
Yeah, that's list building. I mean, same thing. That's how I kind of discovered my most recent list, is just playing around. And I play a game with one thing, and I was like, let's take a look at the units. How about I swap this person for this person, and then play it and see how it works. So
I think the next time I play a 1500, I'm bringing Marcus Wayward's joining the party.
Okay, I'm going to edit this, but yes, Brian, do that. Because that's what I'm doing in my posse, and it is nasty.
Can you imagine 3 treasure hunters in a one posse?
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask you guys a question? Because this is something that I've thought about basically since the rules came out. In the section about moving, extra, maximizing your movement, can you abuse the get in and get out actions, movement actions a little bit to increase the movement speed of some slow guys?
I think they ruled on that, actually.
Well, you can't use them in the same round.
Right.
So you can't use them in the same round, but if you're going to end your actions, right?
Yeah.
Near a building, you only have to. You can, if you're within 3 inches, you can get in on a corner,
right,
and then come out 3 inches on the other corner. And depending on the size of that building, you could really abusively increase your range.
I don't think you can do that the same turn.
So say you play Lawmen or slow moving enlightened creations. Yes, it's not really abuse. But yeah, depending on the building, especially a saloon, which is a larger building, that's a pretty good move. I mean, the building is what I actually have a ruler here. From corner to corner,
it's almost 8 inches.
It's a little over 10 inches.
Okay.
Add 6 to that, so that's 16-inch move assist into activation.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like it's spread out over 2 activations, but man, you just gave yourself a big boost.
Right. So the reason I think that it's still kind of fair is everyone can do it, one, but because it's over 2 rounds, it's a huge commitment when you consider that you're only playing 5 rounds.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? Sure. So I mean that's a large portion of your time in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's. I'm talking about. We were talking about covering ground to get to an objective. Sometimes you're not doing anything else.
Yeah.
except trying to get there. So
there are some models like those slow moving enlightened models. They spend half the game just trying to get into combat, and they may only get one turn actually in combat.
Sure. And all of a sudden you add an almost 15 to 16-inch movement boost onto that. That seems pretty significant.
Right. And that's why also portals lend to that as well. That's why hopefully in the next update we can see some equalization on the portals, because right now there are two factions who have a huge portal boost compared to all the other portal factions, because they have portals on the board from the beginning of the game, which allows them to not be forced to take 2 turns to get those portals out.
Right.
Okay, I got to finish off the segment. We started chit-chatting and got off the rails.
Well, no, it was tangentially related.
Oh, okay. So just you guys keep in mind, have fun posse building and just kind of go over all those different abilities and lay them out and see what works well together. And like I said, happy list building, and we'll go ahead and move on. Okay, see, that was easy.
Ah, nice.
Well, now, guys, it's been a while since we've had guests in the saloon, so today in this segment, I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I'm getting together with some of my local community in the Chicagoland, some of the Wild West Exodus players that I play with locally, and we're going to sit down and chit-chat a little bit about, them, some of our local play, and Adepticon, actually, that's coming up at this time of recording in about a week. Will be on the opening day. So I am here today with Chris and Sean. Like I said, local. We get together at Grognard's, just south of me, west of you, Sean, and east of Chris. So we kind of all meet in the middle. But yeah, so Chris, Sean, say hello.
What's going on, guys? Chris here.
Hey, I'm Sean. Good to see y'all.
Thanks, you guys, for coming on into the saloon and just...
No, Eric. Thank you for having us to the saloon.
It's one of the things of the Blackhoof Saloon is, we all three of us, me, Tom, and Brian, kind of want to use the show as a way to get community members, together and more involved in this game that we love. I met you guys both through the game, down at Grognard's, and we started playing. And, Chris, you've been in the game since, first edition with the Kickstarter, right?
Kickstarter.
Okay.
Yeah, just after first Kickstarter.
And then, Sean, you got into it, was it with the new stuff, second edition then?
It was definitely, it was second edition. I might be coming on around a year.
Okay.
Because it was, Willie McClelland got my friend, Shay, got me into it. And then your friend and my friend, Willie, that I met through a Kickstarter for another game about a year and a half ago, was the one who bequested me all of the toys to really get me settled into the game.
See, and that's the beauty of our community, is that you get to meet other players, through different channels, and it's like, oh, hey, you know him? Yeah, I know him. And then next thing you know, you're hooking up and playing games and stuff. So let's go a little bit of background real quick. Chris, you've been in gaming for a long time, and I know you have another main one. Tell us a little bit about Chris.
Okay. So, I've been into tabletop wargaming for the better part of 20 years. So I've played a gambit of games across. Obviously, I dipped my toes in the water when I was very young with Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000. And then as I got older, I started wanting to dial it back. I got more into skirmish games. That's where Guild Ball and Wild West Exodus and a little stint of War Machine Hordes. But those have been kind of the games I've been gravitating towards. Thus, why I've kind of just delved all back in with Exodus. Because when the first edition dropped, I loved the game. I thought it was a lot of fun. But it was just a system that needed work. Yeah. And it was very hard to maintain any kind of competitive nature with that game, which, we're war gamers. We're even if you don't think you're competitive a little bit. So,
except for me, I laugh when I get my ass handed to me by you.
It is true. You are one of the best sports I've ever played, Erickson.
That's a great quality to have. That's been one of my goals with gaming, is to try and get to that quality.
Well,
exactly.
For me, it's about the stories. What kind of stories can you tell? And I think Wild West Exodus is an excellent game for that.
Oh yeah, totally. But yeah, and Exodus has been, and ever since War Cradle picked up the IP about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, ish. Yeah, ever since they picked it back up, I've delved all the way back in, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Okay, question, Chris. What is your favorite faction?
Favorite faction in Wild West?
I know this, but listeners want to know.
That's fair. It's an outlier. My favorite faction is the Watchers.
Okay.
Because for some reason, I know why, but I'm just going to toss this out there. One of my favorite movies that has come out in the last 10 years has been Cowboys versus Aliens. I freaking love that movie. It's so much fun. I can't explain it because by all rights and reserves, it's a terrible movie.
Yeah, but it's a fun movie.
So enthralled by it. Something about Daniel Craig and friggin' Harrison Ford, fighting aliens in the Wild West. I'm all about it. I love every minute of it. So, therefore, naturally, when The Watchers dropped back in old edition Wild West Exodus, I saw that Kickstarter. I was like, I'm in. I'm sold. It's me because I started off playing Union, but just because of Abraham Lincoln and General Grant. But I kind of moved away from them since they did not survive the great hobby purge of 2017. So. So that's where I'm at now, and of course everyone's got an outlaw force. I'm also a really big fan of Firefly, so I had to pick the Wayward Eight up.
Oh yeah,
especially with the new sculpts that they put out. Oof,
that's a fantastic
they're on my list
posse.
eventually.
Yeah, yeah. I predict, Sean, that you're gonna walk home with that posse.
Hey,
I don't know. I mean, there's Wolf. Wolf Boy Posse there too.
Oh,
yeah.
What the hell's that posse called? Come on, Eric, you're supposed to know this.
The Hour of the Wolf, I think, is the name.
Yeah, with all the wolves.
But now I'm blanking on his name.
See, it's funny. I just talked about this earlier for this episode. We were talking about it, and it's already
forgotten.
That's because I had too much going on for Adepticon.
So it's all that firewater, boy.
Oh yeah.
So, Sean, tell us a little bit about you gaming-wise, and I mean, I know what your current game is, and you're actually going to be running demos of the game at Adepticon, but give us a little bit into Sean. Who is Sean?
I'm still a relative noob in the wargaming sector. I got back into board games about 10 years ago with a whole group of friends, and then when I moved back out to Chicago in 2012, my roommate and close friend, he was a War Machine player, and he wanted people to play with. So I got in, that kind of got the toe into it, and I've shifted from War Machine into kind of like Chris, more on the skirmish level games, lots of different skirmish games that I don't have to have large amounts of money or model counts into.
Yeah.
So I can spread it out into various games. But I will say Conquest, which is coming out, is it's so beautiful, just the artwork and the models and the story. So that's going to be my mass battle game. It's calling to me. Yeah, so just still fairly fresh, still getting into how to play them and how to manipulate them and into the community. So that's been fun. The
ongoing battle. So like we said, you just got into Wild West Exodus with second edition through Friends of Friends. And
yeah, Willie, a friend showed me the game and it was super fun. And then Warrior Nation, because I loved growing up. I've always loved the Native American culture and the look and a lot of that stuff. And this Wild West Exodus really did them very lovingly, I think. They're beautiful models and very taken care of for the story and the thematic elements. So when Willie offered me pretty much almost the entire line on a cut rate deal, it was like, all right, I'm in. I got it all. I've got almost it all. This works out great.
That's sometimes
my language cheap.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to get into any game is somebody's, they're done with it and they're having, the garage sale.
Oh yeah, I just had a buddy that came out to one of our days that got a free Union big lot. So he's been coming out and enjoying the game. So it's a good way to get people in there. So any players that don't want to play anymore, just give your stuff away to those who are interested. Or just give it to me or Eric.
I don't know. I think I'm starting to get to the point where I don't need any more starters. I think I'm up to 4 now.
It's not a question of need, Eric. It's a question of want.
True.
You have to know the difference, okay?
I don't know how.
Fodder right there.
Even though I don't know how many more Jesse James I need, but then again, it's Jesse James. So
you did just give me one a couple of weeks ago. Here, just take them.
So, Sean, I mentioned that you're into another game, so you're doing a Drowned Earth a lot lately, too.
Yeah, I've got into that 2 years ago in the Kickstarter, and I've just gotten more involved with it since. I've made friends with James, the creator, and some of the guys over in London, helped with writing the rule book since the Kickstarter, demoing.
So you're really diving into that one.
The Wayfarers is the equivalent of the volunteer coordinating group. What's it called again? For
like the war host program that we have for. Okay.
So really kind of a little bit more involved in organizing and getting that pumped out too. So
okay.
But yeah, at Adepticon on Saturday, I'll be up with a demo table I've been creating, running demos, and then on Friday there's an organized tournament event that I'll be running Friday. I've got a couple of guys for that. Also, fingers crossed, I've been told that Ash is interested in coming to play on that Friday.
Oh, that's cool.
So we'll hopefully Ash Barker from Gorilla Miniatures will come hang out and play the event with us. So it'll be cool.
Well, hopefully, yeah, some people hear this and I actually get it out in time for Adepticon, and they'll come check you out in the open play area and maybe jump in and get a demo, and maybe they'll be hooked. So
yeah, come see the game. We'd love to build a community over here so we can get easier distribution of the game.
All right, so what we are here for today is I got these two guys in here to talk to me about Adepticon. Adepticon is in a week, and we kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the whole weekend. We actually, how did we decide that we were gonna run an event? So we're gonna, in the open play area, there's gonna be a ton of open play. A lot of people that are going to Adepticon have expressed interest in open play games, just pick up games. And somehow the three of us, I think you two started this, of doing some kind of organized thematic event in the open play area.
Well, yeah, what was it, like a month or so ago, Chris? You and I were just brainstorming about fun scenarios, since people wanted to get together, and remembering the fun social drinking format that Guild Ball uses over at Captain Con. And
I mean, I think the big thing was, what got me and Sean talking about this was the fact that there was a lot of people posting on the Dark Council Facebook group and the different social mediums for Exodus, saying that they wish that there was more scheduled events at Adepticon for Wild West Exodus. Because I mean, since the game has since relaunched, they got they only got slotted for one day of event, and that was Saturday for the Gunslinger, which is cool.
Yeah,
it's awesome. That's on a Saturday. It's in the middle of the day, prime time. It's gonna be a great time.
There's actually spots open still too.
Exactly. So, but right away when the tickets went on sale, they only had 12 spots for the table, and I bought the last one when I registered for Adepticon 2 hours after the card opened.
Yeah.
So
great. Yeah.
And then the War Cradle folks were able to be like, hey, listen, we got a lot of interest for this event. It sold out rather quick. So they're like, okay. They gave us 4 more seats.
I got one of those.
Yeah, exactly. Rick was able to snag one of those. Because I was messaging him that day saying, hey, dude, did you get your ticket to the Gunslinger? He's like, no way. They're gone. And Eric was sad.
I was a sad panda.
Exactly. But then I'm still like delving around on Facebook on the Dark Council page, and like majorly saw a lot of people that were like, oh, I'm bummed I couldn't get into the Gunslingers. Are there going to be people that are looking for games at Adepticon? And I saw a lot of these posts.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of people who be like, yeah, I'll be there. So me and Sean were just at one of our meetup days. We were just, shooting the shit, brainstorming about, why don't we just set something up for like Friday or Saturday night and make it like, make it like a drinking game, or make it just like a big social event where we can come up with a cool little scenario that's different. It's outside the box. It's not something that these guys have seen before, but it's still easy enough and flows nicely, and it's social that everyone can come and wind down on after whichever day. Because I think we settle on Saturday night, correct?
Yeah.
Saturday night,
yeah. So Saturday night we're gonna run this thing, and it's just gonna be where people can come by, have some drinks, chill, meet some other people from around the world, essentially, that are in the community. I mean, even like the War Cradle guys were interested in coming out. Some of them I know. Well, I think Chris Pond said he was interested in coming out.
Yeah.
So
it's out in public, Chris. You must come.
Exactly. So, and that's just kind of got us talking, and actually talking more serious about it as the weeks kind of went on. And here we are. We've brainstormed a scenario. We've play tested it a few times. I know Eric and Sean have play tested, and me and Eric play tested this past weekend, and we had a lot of fun. I mean, they were two very different games because I got to spectate their game, and me and Eric's game went a little bit differently than Sean's game. So it just shows you that
it was a little more bloody.
It was a little bit more bloody. Yes, I brought my aliens out to play. I didn't bring my nasty aliens out to play, granted, but they were nasty enough. But
I had a blast with the scenario. I'm looking forward to sharing it with other people to see what they think.
I think people are going to have a blast.
One of the more fun experiences I had.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a lot of fun.
Very unique. We don't want to express too much about it right off the bat because we don't want to
have a surprise. Yeah.
Well, we can tell them the basics. So the basics is it's Saturday night. We're gonna start to get together at 7 p.m. probably in the open play area. And we are calling this Wild West Drinkadus Moonshiners Meetup. So I know some people were interested in it, but they were like, oh, do we have to drink? No, of course. I've been telling people already, just show up, bring a Coca-Cola. We don't care, and just meet people, get a pickup game, and have some fun. I mean, the three of us kind of came up with this scenario it's just a fun scenario, very thematic, especially with, as of late, there's been a lot of talk of like homebrew scenarios and custom scenarios on the Facebook group. And, this is perfect for that because people are all kind of interested in it right now. So I thought, that this is going to be great for people.
Well, that'd be cool. Yeah, maybe to help give some inspiration to others to create something and share it out there with other people. Yeah. It's we're saying everyone bring like 1,000-point list for this thing, right?
So the rules is 1,000-point list, just a standard Posse list. And then what else are we saying here? I got notes. Let me look at the notes that you so nicely typed up today.
I got notes too, Eric. They're the same notes that you got.
Well, these ones I can at least read, not my chicken scratch notes.
You're sure you weren't a doctor in a past life there, Eric?
So yeah, we're doing 1,000 points, special needs, and I have a bunch of these models, so we'll have some old man models, and then we're gonna have all the tables set up for you. So the only other thing that you guys need to bring is, like, if you do want to participate in the thematic version of the game, is bring something that you like to drink. Whether it's beer or a soda, that's fine.
Bring something from your area to share with others. I know for the mystery drinks, we will be providing something unique for that.
Sean could almost be twisting a little mustache right now.
You can see his face.
But yeah, I mean, the rest of the game it's going to be your like basic scenario. We're going to do it on a 3x3, and your standard scenario is 5 turns, and then also just bring the willingness to have fun.
Because it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
At Adepticon, what else are you guys looking forward to that's in the World Wild West Exodus? I know Stuart kind of hinted at some teases. You guys got any speculation?
I want to know what that new con exclusive model going to be. And I also want to get myself an Nakano.
Oh yeah, we've been talking about Nakano a lot in the last few episodes. So
yeah, you've been using her quite a bit, so that doesn't surprise me. She's a beast.
Well, you two are both doing the tournament event.
Yes.
So how's your guys' preps and excitement for that?
We play tested quite a bit. Chris, I think you were a little more. You had a decision of what you were pretty much going to run. You just did a couple play tests and tweaks, whereas me, I had no clue. So you really helped me figure out what I was going to run.
Yeah, there were several of those high noon meetups that we did at Grognard that were like, Eric, okay, I know you love your Enlightened. I know you love them, but let's face it, we got to get you some more versatility out there. So I convinced him to go the way he's going for his list at Adepticon, and we just hammered it out. And I think, Eric, you got a pretty nasty list.
Well, we'll see if I can remember all that it does. That's the question.
Exactly. But yeah, like Eric said, I've had my list dialed in for a few months because I figured out I figured out some Watcher nastiness, and I've just kind of had that in my back pocket for a while. And yeah, it's
ready to spring on people.
It's ready to spring on people. It's very, very high risk, high reward. I'm just gonna call it that.
But never fear, I will have my enlightened with me, and I am available for an ass whooping by anybody next weekend.
He's willing and ready.
Yes.
for that ass stomping that you will bring upon him.
So yeah,
because he's just that nice of a guy.
Hell yeah. I'll take one on the chin. But yeah, after like just getting downstairs and looking at the booth and talking to people, and I am hoping to get in some open play games with a lot of people in the community that I've talked to on the Facebook, or I know a lot of listeners of the Blackhoof Saloon that are going to be there. Like there's Dingo from Seattle is going to be there, and Benji he's way north of me, but so some of these guys are coming, like you said, Sean, from all over the world, the country, and they're going to be at Adepticon, and they're listeners of the show, and I've talked to them online, that I'm really looking forward to meeting other players and, kind of putting those seeds in the community to help grow those relationships. That this is one of those games that I think that can create those friendships that go past the game, where you talk to these people online. And I haven't seen, like Sean, our mutual friend, Mac, in 2 years, I think it is now, since the last time he was up here for, when War Cradle first got a hold of Wild West Exodus. But I talk to him all the time because of that one weekend where we first met in person and developed that relationship. I talk to him online all the time, so...
Yeah, I'm looking forward. One of the things I'm looking forward to this year, I found these guys anonymous tabletop podcast last year, just randomly. They run a little pop-up open event called Meat Grinder. If anybody sees them during Adepticon,
you did that last year. I remember.
Bring some plastic models that you don't mind getting rid of. It's a arena, last man standing gladiatorial combat game based off of 40K rules. Really simple. But when your guy dies, it's beheaded and thrown into a hand crank meat grinder. And it's some of the most hysterical fun I've had in a game in a while. So I hope I can meet up with him again this year. Yeah, same thing.
Well, all right, I think that kind of covers Adepticon. We gave a little bit of hint of the event. It should be a lot of fun. None of us want to give too many hints to what it's about because we want you guys to be surprised about what we do. Like I said, just show up, be ready to have fun. I think we have enough space for 5 tables. If we end up having more people, we'll have to figure something out. I'm sure we will.
Right. I'll have crates of terrain with me.
There wouldn't probably be a bad problem if we got more people than what we had space for. So
exactly, and don't forget, and for your listeners too, we do have a Facebook event set up for our social event. It's for Saturday night. Search just Wild West Drinksodus Adepticon 2019. You'll be able to find that. I believe it's just an open event currently at this point in time. So if you want to join in, just click going, and you get all the details that we're willing to share that are there. But I mean, real easy. I think we're going to be using the War Cradle tables that they have for the Gunslinger tournament.
Hopefully,
we're going to try to.
Yeah, we're going to try to.
We haven't figured that out quite yet, but I don't see why they wouldn't let us bogart their tables to play their game on.
At 7 o'clock at night.
yeah, exactly. At 7 o'clock at night. Yeah, and that's when we're meeting up, is around 7:30ish. But yeah.
I mean, another place you guys can hit, if you're going to be at Adepticon, can hit any of us up is, the Dark Council. All 3 of us are on there at any given point. Like Chris said, do a search for the event. Or we did start up a Wild West Exodus open play Adepticon group that's in Facebook that you can search, and you just send in a request. I'll get it, and I can just add you to the group. And we created the group because if you're going to be at Adepticon, it's a little bit easier to post in there that, hey, anybody available for a pickup game, than, hey, anybody available for a pickup game in the main Facebook page, because it can easily get buried by the amount of posts that get on there. So
Yeah.
another place you can find anybody to play a pickup game. So with that, whenever we have guests, it's been a little while since we've had guests in the saloon, but
Ooh,
I run them through the hot seat. So I got hot seat questions for you guys.
I don't know. Last time I had a hot seat, it was a very embarrassing situation. I don't want to talk about it.
Well, this probably won't be so painful, but so we kind of went over what your guys' favorite factions are, but I have some general questions for you. So let's do it this. So if you were a character in Exodus, who would you be? What would be a character that you guys would be in the game?
Interesting. I think this kind of, for me, it's a tie between
no ties.
There's no ties. There's
Okay.
no tie. I have to pick one.
I want to hear them both, though.
You want to hear them both?
Yeah.
Okay. If I have to pick one, Marcus Wayward, because he's a badass.
Okay.
And I feel like that was going to be pretty obvious, but the tie is the Wraith, because he's kind of dark and based off of Frank Castle and the Punisher, and I love that.
Yeah. That's a good pick. So, Sean, you look like you're struggling.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember all the various characters and bits and bobs and to see who it would be. I'm trying not to just think in Warrior Nation too.
Yeah, there's so many models in the game that there's a lot.
Yeah. I guess I'd go with maybe Edison.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, just the thoughtful, the inventive, and the willing to shift over to what needs to be done.
Well, his new Posse that's coming out, he's going to be nasty. His new version. Oh, yeah. That's on the list. The list that gets bigger and bigger.
Right.
All right.
That or Ancon, so I could have wings.
It's always, yeah. Let's see. So, basic Wild West question here. If you were a Wild West character, someone you would find in the frontier, who would you be? So a general Wild West trope character?
Interesting.
Or historical character, maybe?
Probably just like the bartender, proprietor, own the bar, run the place.
I could see that.
Host the community. And
It's
keep
kind of you
keep
at this
people
event
taken
that
care
we're
of.
doing on Saturday, too.
Kind of where I fall into for all sorts of things. I don't mind being that. It's kind of fun.
That's fair. For me, I would have to say, I honestly don't know. Maybe like a prospector, or maybe even like a circuit clerk bounty hunter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone's kind of out there doing his thing out in the fringe, shows up.
That kind of goes along with your choices of your character.
That is fair.
All right. So, next question. Now, if you rode into town, what would you be riding on in the world of Wild West Exodus? Or I should say. Would you come on your basic low-tech horse, or would you come screaming in on a interceptor or an iron horse?
I'd still say a Mustang.
I'm gonna go with the Iron Eagle.
Iron
for 400,
Eagle.
Alex.
just one of those, right, Chris? I don't want to see more than one of those things on the table.
There might be two more with me. I might have friends.
Oh man. All right, so you went kind of Union, and Sean went Classic.
Just saying, if I'm given the choice between horse that I have to feed or Iron Eagle with all the guns and armor, I'm gonna have to choose the guns and armor. Just saying.
All right, so this is a couple part question. So you guys would ride on your Iron Eagle and on your horse, and you moseyed into the saloon for a game of poker. Okay, and you sat down at the table. Who would be sitting there with you at that table? So anybody in the world of Wild West Exodus, who are you sitting down to play poker with in the saloon?
Poker against?
Yes.
I hope Faraday, because I'm a fan of the Magnificent Seven, and I think playing poker against Robot Faraday would be fun. And that just brings me back to that classic scene where Faraday is introduced in the Magnificent Seven when he's playing poker. It's one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
I didn't catch that part. Nice.
How did you not even catch that part? It's kind of a big deal.
I haven't really watched Magnificent Seven, so I didn't catch that was who they were.
I'm just saying.
Ah.
Come on, guy. Come on.
He's a Warrior Nation player. Leave him alone.
No, but he's smart. He's supposed to be the smart one, the thematic thing,
All right, Sean.
Oh God, it would be fun, like maybe to sit down with Lincoln and a couple of others of the Secret Service and not realize who they were until about 4 hands in.
You get black bagged and buried out in the desert.
Yeah. After they emptied his pockets.
Exactly. No, first they'd beat you in poker, and then they would bury you in the desert.
Now that we're saying it, I'd love to see like a Brett and Bart Maverick character get the game.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't tapped into that yet, but then again, who knows? Their little list.
They love doing that, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably pretty long.
Maybe one day.
All right. Easy question for you guys now. Stetson or 10-gallon?
Stetson.
All right. Man, nobody wants a 10-gallon to store their sandwich up in there but me.
Man.
But me.
Dude, I need like
aerodynamic.
1-gallon hat. 10-gallon will just fall down over my entire head.
That is true. I feel like that's more of a hindrance than a assistive article of clothing. So
They're all cut eye holes out like Dark Helmet.
I love it.
All right, so favorite Western movie / actor? You guys got a favorite actor in a movie Western?
Favorite? I mean, you can't mess with the Duke. So I mean, I'm gonna go John Wayne. Obviously, for favorite actor for Western movies, you can't mess with the classics, my friend.
Eastwood's jumping out at me too, man.
Man, the two sides of the coin right here. You guys got a movie then too? Favorite Western movie? We kind of heard a little bit from you, Chris. We know where your tastes are a little bit.
I'm a huge movie nerd. I mean, most of the time I get a chance to thematically base my tabletop miniatures, armies and posses and groups off of, I will take that stuff because my last big competitive game was Bolt Action. World War II, 28 mil, like squad based. It's like 40K scale ish. But all of my armies were based off of movies. I had an American army that was based off of, Saving Private Ryan, and another one that was based off of the Band of Brothers, and that just goes on so on and so forth. So of course, I'm a huge movie nerd. So that being said, I really love Magnificent Seven. So I'm going to say that is my favorite Western movie currently.
Okay, Sean, do you got any favorite Westerns?
I don't think he can hear you. Can you hear us, Sean?
Dee 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 dee.
Maybe play some waiting music in the background. Not here in the time of my life. Nope, don't hear you.
Back?
There you go.
Wait. Hey, here we go.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
My Bluetooth just died.
I figured that's what it was, so.
That was weird.
So, Sean, do you got a favorite Western movie?
I need to watch more. I was remembering The Searchers.
Wow, he's going way
that
back.
Was gorgeous, way back, yeah.
Damn.
Little bits and pieces here and there. Quick and the Dead was just stupid fun. I remember watching that, but that's not...
My man.
Oh, that true Western.
Yeah.
Yeah, those. I need to watch the... I really should watch because they're the bits and pieces I've seen are cool. And Unforgiven, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right, you guys survived the hot seat questions.
It wasn't that hot.
I don't know, it wasn't that hot.
Call it the warm seat.
Okay. Okay. But I want to thank you guys for coming on and
Thanks
just
for having us, Eric.
chit-chatting a little bit and shooting the breeze and kind of getting everybody ready for Adepticon that's going. And hopefully we'll see a lot of the community members. If you guys are going to be at Adepticon, look for, some of us from the Chicago crew. Look for Sean doing his Drowned Earth stuff and hit people up on Facebook and do some open play. I know Chris is looking for open play.
I'll be there majorly the whole weekend. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it out Thursday now because of work things, but
yes.
I'm going to try to. But bare minimum, I'll be out there Friday morning. So starting then all weekend, if you want a game, hit me up. I have multiple different posses. They're not all painted, so forewarning. but I don't have to lay the beat down with my watchers. I can bring out my Holy Order or my Wayward Eight or my Outlaws or something. We'll just have some fun, throw some dice. Good. I want to meet some people.
Yeah.
And stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, and just look for this crazy guy in a cowboy hat and a brown shirt, and I can point you guys in the right direction. And I look forward to meeting everybody. So, but like I said, thanks guys, and look forward to seeing everybody at Adepticon. And we'll go ahead and get out of here.
All right, we'll see you. Thanks for everything, Eric.
Well, guys, that does it for another episode of the Blackhoof Saloon. We can close this one out and put this one on the old photograph cylinder. So, I'm solo today, mainly because I just wanted to keep the episode short so I could get it out before Adepticon for all those people traveling to Adepticon. They can listen to it while they drive there or fly there. I know a lot of people are going to Adepticon this coming weekend by plane. So, and speaking of Adepticon, I want to give some people a little bit of a reminder that if you haven't sent in your tournament list and you're going to be in the Gunslinger tournament on Saturday, to make sure you guys send in your posse list to War Cradle. They wanted to kind of just give it a once over and make sure everything was kosher and legal. And you can go ahead and send in your posse list to events@warcradle.com. Or if you guys don't have time to do that, or maybe you missed the little window and you don't hear anything from them, which usually means that if you don't hear anything, that the lists are okay. You can talk to one of the War Cradle staff members on the Adepticon weekend. Probably the person you want to talk to is going to be Chris Pond. I believe he's going to be the TO for the event. In other little news for Adepticon and War Cradle, I believe that they're going to have some of the new pre-order posses there. So if you guys are at the convention in Schaumburg, make sure you check it out, see if they have any of the new stuff. You can pick it up, not have to worry about ordering it, and you can skip the shipping cost. And also, they are supposed to be releasing news of what the new con figure is, so make sure you check that out. There's some speculation of what the model's going to be, like what faction and stuff like that. And I know some people were hoping for a good guy. Granted, there really is no good guys in the world of Wild West Exodus, except for maybe in their own eyes they're good guys. But I'd like to think that Warrior Nation is really the only good guy in the game. So check that out. See where I know a lot of people are excited to see what the new exclusive figure will be, or model will be. Also, War Cradle is toting to have some big news announcement. So keep your eyes peeled for that on all the social media. I will be there kind of covering the con, so watch for pictures on our Facebook page, the War Cradle's Facebook pages. I believe they teased earlier this week that they were going to have some kind of video presentation that they may put up on YouTube. We don't know what it's going to be. It could be a number of things, so we'll just have to wait and see in a couple more days what that possibly could be. And I'd like to say that sorry that my co-host won't be at Adepticon, but I personally look forward to seeing all the people from the community and actually getting a chance to meet new ones, whether that's just mingling around the booth or in the open play area. So to go along with open play, keep an eye open on some of the social medias and the two different Facebook groups. The Adepticon Open Play group, and then there's the the Dark Council group. If you guys were looking for a game, just put a post up on there. Hopefully somebody will see it and answer it, and you guys can get some games in during the weekend. There's a little bit of news for card updates for 1.09. They said it'll be after Adepticon in the next few months or so. Hopefully it's not right after Adepticon. I think it wasn't going to be anything major. Maybe just some stats here and there changing a little bit for balance purposes. And I don't think it's going to be over all the different factions and characters, so it's just going to be a couple little updates, probably like cost of them also, it could be. So that's something to keep an eye open for. So when you may not want to do like a real nice printing just yet, but kind of hold off for, the update, and then go ahead and get some new cards made. I would say just print out what you need for different tournaments or league play or anything like that until that new update comes along. And then finally, I just want to give you guys, all our listeners, one last reminder about our story contest. I know I said in the beginning of the intro this would be the last time. Well, last time meaning this episode, because by April 10th, if you guys were going to write a story, it could be a long story, it could be a short story, it could be anything you guys want in the world of Wild West Exodus. Get it into us by April 10th for our 12th one-year anniversary episode, and we're actually giving a prize away of a Wild West Exodus War Cradle Saloon, and we were basically gonna pick the one that was our favorite entry, and that person will get the saloon. So make sure you guys get that into us. You can send it in to our email, and we look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. Like I said, I wanted to kind of keep this short since I wanted to get this out before Adepticon. I wanted to thank Chris and Sean, two of my local players from the Chicago area, coming on and us just kind of chit-chatting about Adepticon, all things Wild West Exodus, and hopefully I'll see a lot of you guys at Adepticon, either around the booth, in the tournament, or on the event that we're going to be running on Saturday night. And we'll go ahead and get out of here so you guys I can get this finished up and you guys can listen to it on your way to Adepticon, or if you're not, well, we're sorry that we're going to miss you, not see you out there, but hopefully we'll see you at another con. And if you guys want to get a hold of us, remember you can get a hold of us on our Facebook page at Blackhoof WWX Podcast. Place to send those entries into, and our general email is blackhoofsaloon@gmail.com. And a fairly recent addition, we are also now on Twitter at Blackhoof Saloon, and you can find us on Instagram at Blackhoof Saloon Podcast. And with that, remember guys, when you're out there posse building and trying to squeeze all those different abilities into your posse to grab those objectives, or if you're playing a custom scenario and you're trying to avoid getting a smack in the back of the head by some crazy old coot moonshiner while you're trying to steal his moonshine, to ride with the sun at your back and always roll those big crits. For both Brian and Tom, this is Eric saying, take it easy. We'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks for stopping by the Blackhoof Saloon, y'all. We hope you enjoyed your visit. Feel free to get a hold of us with comments or questions via the interweb, and shoot us a telegraph at blackhoofsaloon@gmail.com, or find us on the Facebook at Blackhoof WWX Podcast. Music provided for use by Ross Bugden and can be found at one of his YouTube channels, Ross Bugden Music or Ross Bugden Composer. Until your next visit, ride with the sun at your back and always roll those crits.
So I was thinking you guys can introduce yourselves too after I say this is Eric here.
Wait, you're not going to introduce us for us?
You want me to introduce you, or you want to introduce yourselves? Do something different.
I don't know. I'll do whatever I'm told. That's my job. My job is to do what I'm told.
Play some music.
Instead of music, I think you should just have Bullwinkle be like, "Hey, Rocky, you want to see me pull a rabbit out of my hat?"
Boy, that's a reference that I think some people wouldn't get, Tom, except for us oldies.
Well, you know what? That's fine. We can have things for old folks. I found it. I think that's the way to
man,
that's like,
that's some old school stuff.
I love me some Rocky and Bullwinkle. I've got it on DVD. I've got seasons of it on DVD. Nice. So people are going to be scrambling right before the Adepticon tournament to make sure they get Gozen in, since you can play for
no,
everyone.
because I'm going to release it on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I'm not friends with him. I'm going to add him. He's gonna be like, "Who the hell is this adding me?" And they'll be like, "Oh, that's Tom. He's the guy who's on a podcast but never actually plays the game."
Hey, we can just say that, oh, Tom, he sets up games and plays both sides.
Yeah, I don't even do that.
I'm going to beat you yet.
Oh, but I have so much terrain now. Maybe I can set up a table. I've got 2 towns worth of buildings now.
Yeah.
You have no excuse. You should be kicking your own ass.
I do that every day at work. Why am I going to come home and do that?